Okay. This is Toksa Hour. I am Maggie Ross, and I'm coming live from Porcupine, South Dakota, along Porcupine Creek, where the porcupines roam. Yeah, I was trying to remember songs this morning. I was like, I'm running on time, but that's not even it. It's like killing time. So I didn't even have it together correctly. The tragedy of my life and my thoughts and all of that stuff. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, I want to say thank you guys for joining, waiting. It took me a little bit to kind of get everything set up and going. I got up early this morning. I was up at 4:30, and I was up and I was just reading. I don't know. I just feel like there's this whole conversation that we need to be having. And the conversation about what's going on in the state of right now, right? So I feel like we go through this process of we're going through a process of great deception. And maybe we don't even really realize the deception or how great it is. It's like we're going through it. And I don't know how much news people pay attention to also, because there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm gonna try to share out Toksa Hour while I'm talking to you guys. So there's a lot of things going on in the world. And it kind of started off with Trump, right? Like, I mean, everything starts with Trump these days. But he started off with his State of the Union. The State of the Union happened, and so we listened to him like tell blooper after blooper, right? Like yeah, I don't know who. I felt like we were in a different world, different time. I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was happening because he was lying. And the Republicans were standing up, just cheering for him and stuff like that. And I couldn't understand that. I was like, what is going on here? Why is this guy? Why are we standing up and applauding when it's all lies? And I just like, I don't know. So we live in lies. We live through the lies. We're in the lies. I don't know how we're going to talk about that, but yeah. So he lied. He told us that everything was great. It's never been any better. This is the best we've ever been. Under him, it's just the greatest, like the greatest. We have almost zero inflation, but I was thinking about this zero inflation, and I was thinking about how my food bill has gone up. My household, just to survive, has gone up. And but I'm not happy about that, because I have to think about, well, where is the rest of that coming? Where do you find the to make up the ends? And so we're in this constant state of lies, that oil prices are down. I mean, he even went in to say this. It was $6 a gallon when I came in, and now it's like this. And I'm like, it wasn't. It was not $6. I mean, maybe back when George W. Bush, remember when we went through that thing? Yeah, gas prices were crazy. But right now, we haven't really experienced that. But we're told. And then he comes on and says we're going to bomb Iran. We're doing this in lies again. Imminent threat, remember? And that takes us back, for those of us that were alive through 9/11 and alive through George W. Bush and his want to take us to war. And these are not even this is not even our stuff. And And I'm just like looking at it thinking, man, like why are we doing that? And I was watching like regular TV news, and I guess now we call them legacy news. It's not mainstream media or whatever, like they were saying that a little while ago. But now they're calling regular TV news legacy media, legacy news networks. Well, they're all lying too. They're like on the take because Larry Ellison is buying up everything. So he's going to own all the news networks, and then the Fox News guy will own the Fox News network. So all of this shilling that's taking place is very detrimental for us because we don't have anywhere. So I don't even, like I was listening to yesterday morning whenever woke up. I didn't know, because I went to bed early. I didn't know that we were doing that, that Trump said we were going to do that. I didn't know that we were attacking Iran, or the United States and Israel were going to attack Iran or Iran. I should learn how to say it how they say their own country name. Anyways, so I didn't know. I woke up and then I was listening to people talk about it. And I was like, yeah, like they're all like, I mean, they're stooping. They're stooping for Trump. They're stooping for this. And so there's one was like the regime change. We need a regime change. And I was like, so that's what we call legitimate governments now, is regimes? We need a regime change? Like that's a legitimate government. Like they're recognized by the world leaders, but they're a regime. And so it's really interesting, like in the propaganda of things, like how narratives are put together. And as Lakota people and as Indigenous people, we know this, right? We know this because we are savages. We are the face of resistance in the United States. So we know what this is like. But anyway, so just looking at the language of everything that's being said. And so how do we plan? Because we're going into another war, and it isn't, so wars usually need people. Wars usually need people. And so from my understanding, yesterday, the Ayatollah of Iran, Khomeini, has been martyred. That's what they say. He's been martyred in his own home. And so people look at that and they say it's like Sinwar in Palestine or in Gaza. He didn't go hide in a tunnel. He didn't go do any of that. He fought alongside his people. And so they say that now about Khomeini is that he stayed. He didn't run, he didn't hide, he didn't do any of that. And then the other thing is that he died again for a free Palestine, because Iran was the opposition. They were the resistance to Israel. And so you look at the length of what Israel will do and go through, and at whose cost? Like, we pay for this. We pay for it. But oftentimes we're so stuck in our phones and stuck in nonsense that we don't even realize. And then we're like, well, why can't I afford this? Or what's going on here? Or I'm losing my job now. Now I can't find a job. I'm losing my house. I'm losing everything. I'm losing my family. I'm losing these things. And now I'm on the streets. Because we're stuck in our phones and we're stuck in alter reality. We're not paying attention. And so how does that affect us? how does going to war with Iran going to affect us? Well, one, they're going to need people. They're going to need our children. So our children are going to go fight this regime change. And Iran is very different than Iraq. So Iraq, it was like Saddam Hussein, you took him out and that was it. That was like hoorah. They tore down the statue, came down of Saddam Hussein, hoorah. Like we're done. We did it. Well, of course we had to kill like 3 million people or something like that. We had to do that, and we had to like basically just bomb the heck out of them, like what Israel is doing to Gaza, basically flatten it, trying to destroy everything, so then they turn. Well, accordingly, Iran is not like that. Like their leadership is entrenched. It's entrenched. And so it isn't like succession as you just killed that guy and then you killed his top leaders. There's a whole plan. So what does that mean? That means that we're probably having to get into it with them. And then we're saying, Israel put out this whole thing, right? Like, we're bombing Iran. Now we're declaring a state of emergency because they're going to bomb us back. It's like, well, don't bomb them. Don't bomb them. Just a victim card all the time. I've never seen such victims. All the time. Like, oh, go over there. Like, and that's Trump too, right? Like you bullies go over there and beat somebody up and then come back and say, but they hurt my feelers, They call me Cheeto Man. So now I got to go do all this other stuff. But that's how it is. I mean, like, until people like get it together and have some kind of say or some, and then the truth be it, that there are a lot of people that support this. There are a lot of people I don't know if there's, according to polls, depending on how reliable those things are, it's showing that there is this was a Gallup poll. They said that now this is the year that support for Palestine has now risen above the support of Israel. And so it took, and they start showing, I mean, I was watching this video where, the lines are going up and down, up and down. They turn it into like a trending video and you can see it. And so it shows, like there's always a very strong support for Israel. And there isn't very, so it's taken. So this is why they had to take out TikTok, right? So TikTok is what brought down Israel. And so now it's just a front. So Larry Ellison bought it and now you can't say nothing. Like he suppressed all the voices and hid algorithms and, manipulating all of that. And so that's what he's doing. But it took from 2023 to 2026 February something of 2026 for Palestine to support for Palestine to be overcome or to override or however you say that, Israel. But that's no fault of their own. Like you don't genocide of people and allow us to watch it on our phones every darn day. So I don't really watch legacy news. I'm gonna start calling it that now too. Legacy news. I don't really watch that anymore. Like I am on my phone. But where I'm at is like I go to Substack. And in Substack, I read people like what's his name? Waja Hat Ali? Waja. I don't know how to pronounce his name really, but anyways, that's who I listen to. And they call him Waj. And then this is something really interesting and then I listen to the Young Turks. I listen to Progressive Voices. I don't listen to Tom Hartman though. No, I don't listen to him. But anyway, so and then what's it on Zito? So I listen to Meta. Meta on Zito. So I listen to Progressive Voices, and that's where they're at. They're on Substack. And so I read and I listen, there's a lot of them, a lot of, voices that have been run off legacy media. And so right now, all we have on legacy media is propaganda, and it's right wing, the alt-right, their propaganda. And so early this morning, when I woke up, I listened to Watch talk about, some of these things going on with Iran and with Trump and ICE and like all of these things, and how they're just kind of mixing into our world. And I thought about like some people position. So Khomeini has he used to wear like this black what do you call them? Like scarf of black. And he used to wear that. And he wore that because according to his genealogy, he's like a 35th or something like that descendant of Muhammad, the original, the messenger Muhammad. And so he's like a direct, according to his genealogy or whatever, he's a direct descendant of Muhammad. And so I was thinking about that. And some people will say like the Ayatollah is like a very religious, spiritual person. And then, then they have some political things too. And so to target a religious person, if that was done, like if somebody did that to the Pope, there would be, I don't know, uproar maybe. But there doesn't seem to be that much for Khomeini. And then and then I come across the Young Turks this morning, and Cenk is talking about two emails that are found in the Epstein files, and they're to that Ghislaine Maxwell, and they have to do with 9/11. And so one of them is coming from Edward Epstein to Ghislaine, asking her if she wants to be on a shadow commission, a 9/11 shadow commission. And so nobody knows there's a shadow commission, but nobody's even talking about it but Cenk and a few other people on Substack. Like this isn't on Rachel Maddow. Is Rachel Maddow talking about it? Probably not. But will she talk about it? Probably not, because she's got millions of dollars, So anyway, so there's that. So, and then there's an email saying, where's the pilot? And this is like just after 9/11. Where's the real pilot or something like that? It says, let's see. I kind of saved it on my phone. Yeah, it says in this, it's from Philip Levine, however he says his name, and it's to Ghislaine Maxwell. So Ghislaine says, as a trade thought, you might like this pic. I just landed at Santa Monica in the helicopter with my friend. She is going out for a drink with David this week. And then, so that was on September 18th, 2011 at 11:35 a.m. And then on September 18th, 2001 at 4, at 11:21 a.m. So this is kind of a little bit confusing about times. I'm mixing it all up. But it says, where's the real pilot? And Philip Levine replies and says, he replies at 4. That's what it is. He replies at 4 and says, now, you know better than that. Be nice, because one day you will be in the back seat whilst I am flying. You can check, and then it's redacted who flew that day. So that's even 9/11 is in the Epstein files. Oh my goodness. But nobody's talking about it. So like, is the 9/11 commission a lie? They put all the blame on Saudi Arabia, I think it was. The Saudis did it. But the theory is, or the conspiracy is, that Israel did it. And so now we might know. And so what happened from 9/11? We went into two wars. We went into a war against Iraq and we went into a war against Afghanistan. And who fought those wars? Our brothers and sisters did. Our children did. In 2001, my friends did. Frank Starr was over there. Oglala Sioux tribal president. I have friends, Rodney Roulard. I have friends that were over there. Our people were over there, not Trump's people, not Epstein's people, not all the rich people, not them. No, it was our relatives that were over there. And so that's something that you have to think about. How long? And then we barely got out of Afghanistan and then back in Afghanistan. And so they compare them to the Vietnam War, and then they say you can't compare it to the Vietnam War, but then you can, because in Vietnam we lost that. Like we couldn't sustain that. And so that's the same thing here. So in Iran, we go and strategically target the leadership of the Iranian government, and then what ends up happening is there's no troops on the ground. So how are you going to sustain what you just did? You're not going to. You are not. The United States or Israel is not going to, because they are different. They are different than how the Iraqi government was under Saddam. Saddam Hussein was the top leader. He was it, and he was a dictator. It's like not like that. So it's deeply embedded within their community and their culture. So that means boots on the ground. In the meanwhile, Iran attacks Dubai. And that's really interesting. I mean, they don't go after, they go after Dubai. And why Dubai? Because Dubai is the hub of Zionism, basically. That's where Trump is with all his crypto investments. Trump has real estate investments over there. They go after Dubai, and then they bomb out things so nobody's going to Dubai. So that place is probably something's going to happen. And so the community of Dubai, the country, the UAE, is probably panicking, probably trying to make everything stop so that they can, because they're going to collapse, because they're all in this investment stuff. They're in with the oligarchy, they're in with the oligarchy, they're in with all of the garchies. They are, though. And so here's Dubai. Dubai's took out the airport. Mossad has specific places where they stay, I understand. And then there's some US government people that have some places in Dubai that they stay. And so this is what Trump says. There is going to be civilian losses. Not him, but there is going to be. So he's already telling us that's how it's going to be. Yeah, there is. But we didn't even have to do this because this is Israel's war. But in the media, in the legacy media, they were saying yesterday, because we have American interests in the Middle East, therefore we have to act. Therefore, we have to protect our interests. Well, what are our interests? What are our interests? Is it the destabilization of the region so that we can rape the land and take their resources? Is that what it is? Is it because we're human trafficking still to this day? Human trafficking African people to this day? Oh my God. There's a lot of stuff, and we're not thinking about it. We're not thinking about it. Like, how does this affect us? How does this affect us? So we know that there's probably more than likely going to be an increase in military recruitment. So we can expect that. So if you want your children to join the military, that's, but we should be educating our youth about what does this mean, joining the military. Before, there used to be a peacetime military, that people joined the military because it meant that you could get a GI Bill and we were in peacetime. Well, since 2001 or whatever, since George W. Bush, we have moved out of peacetime and we are in we've been in wartime since. So almost 25 years we have been in war. So it means that. It also means that there's going to be budget shifts. So we're going to lose. So like now, we should all be up in arms. People should be calling people in the state capitol or calling the governor, because Dusty Johnson promoted this whole bill about people cannot buy what they label as junk food with EBT. We should be putting the same darn demands on contractors then. On anybody getting a contract from the state government or federal government cannot use their money to buy drugs or alcohol or junk food. That's what we should be saying to them too, because these people, they get all the rich resources from it. They do. And we're left. So who's going to make the grocery stores bring down their prices? So people are going to buy a apple, an orange, and a banana, and some canned goods. So we should be upset, but I don't know, we're not there yet, because we all hate each other so bad that we justify our anger towards each other. That's good for them. That's what they deserve. They should learn how to work and get a job and do all of these things. But they don't even realize that the good majority of people who are on food stamps are working people. I don't know what's wrong with America. We just hate each other so much and so bad. It's like the war on poverty all the way. Like it isn't even like the war on poverty, like we're gonna end poverty. It's like we're gonna attack you, poverty people. Crazy. So we can also expect expanded surveillance and civil liberties. Like they're gonna attack our civil liberties. More attacks against that. So expand surveillance. Peter Thiel. I just got done, oh my God, reading a thing about him. It's like, what is wrong, people? The Broligarchy is just as grotesque as the Epstein files, but it's on the opposite end. So Epstein is about young girls, little girls, and then the Broligarchy, Peter Thiel and all of them, they're about young boys. Silicon Valley is about young boys. That's disturbing. That is disturbing. Anyway, so Peter Thiel and his peoples are going to surveil us more. Our phones are going to become more dangerous. I've really, I deleted a bunch of apps from my phone. I told you guys this already. I deleted a bunch of apps from my phone. TikTok, they all went. I have Substack and Upscroller. They're only like two on YouTube, but YouTube might get off my phone too and just be something I look at on my computer. Because they're following and tracking your behaviors and doing all of this stuff off of your phone. So the least amount of apps that you have on your phone, the better off you are. But I was thinking about just going back to a flip phone and just get away from this. I mean, I love that I can read. Like sometimes I'm sitting somewhere and I can read progressive voices, but we don't have like a printed progressive voice place that all of these people are printed. I could go buy something and read. So I'm kind of forced in that part of it, like to read their voices or to hear their voices. So media has changed and it does cause us to be there in these different places. But I have really started deleting apps and just getting rid of things that I don't need, thought I needed, but I don't really need.
And so the goal is to limit them to be able to and even my location settings are all turned off. Everything. I deleted all my Google stuff except for YouTube. I deleted all my Google apps off my phone except for YouTube. And like I said, YouTube is kind of where I'm working on it. I haven't done it yet because I just haven't. Anyways, so we can have concerns about that expanded surveillance. And so we're all going to be, again, the importance, there's two things to think about in regards to expanded surveillance. One is to control election outcomes. So they need all us Lakota people to be felons. And so how are they going to make us felons? Through our phones. They're going to track us. They're going to start creating behavioral profiles for us. And if you don't believe me, go read up on Peter Thiel and Palantir. There's research out there, there's news stories out there, there's all of that out there. Go look and see. So that's what they're going to do to people who are people of color, people in poverty. To us, they're going to do that. And we're going to become more felons. And we're already, like, in the state of South Dakota, like, we are the most felonious people. And it'll only be the white man's felonies that don't matter, right? Like Donald Trump. And he's trying to do this because he wants to get us into a place where he can be president forever. Granted, he's old, senile, and needs to go away. That's what he's trying to do. So even if they don't set it up for him like that, what's going to end up happening is we will be run by the alt-right forever until there is a serious uprising that occurs in the United States. Well, I don't know if we're there yet. Minnesota was there. They raised Cain and kicked those people out of their state. The rest of us, I don't know if we're there. But this is really a dangerous place for us to be. So a lot of us aren't even paying attention to the election processes. We're in election season, midterm elections. So we have Senator Rounds. He's running for re-election. Senator Rounds, I mean, I like the guy. I do. I could have really good conversations with him. I met him. All of that. I've always been appreciative of, even if he couldn't get the funding available for Indian education in the state of South Dakota, he created the law. Kristi Noem undid it, but he started the most movement towards American Indians or tribal people in the state of South Dakota, him and Governor Mickelson. But anyways, he's 100% supports Israel. He gets money from AIPAC. And so where are we? Are we having those conversations? Where is he in regards to Epstein Island, about young girls, raping young girls? What is he about raping young boys with Peter Thiel? Like, we're going to give out these contracts to Peter Thiel, and he's involved in this stuff. It's grotesque. And of course, yeah, this is all allegedly until we can get an indictment, which may never happen. So it stays allegedly. So allegedly, that's what he's doing. And allegedly, that's what's happening with Trump. Allegedly, he is accused of raping young girls. He's in the Epstein files a whole bunch of times, thousands, millions, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, so that is Mike Rounds in the state of South Dakota. That is Mike Rounds. Who's running against Mike Rounds? I don't even know. I don't even know. And do they get money? Because you can't even trust a Democrat either. Like, this primary stuff is important. But in the Republican side, the alt-right is these Christian evangelical people who believe they don't support Jewish people, they don't support Muslim people. They believe in the second coming of Jesus, but in order for Jesus to come, we have to put the Jewish people or whatever in Palestine, in I can't remember, is it Bethlehem or Anyways, Jerusalem, in Jerusalem. So then Jesus will come back and then he'll take them all out. That's what they say. Anyway, so that's what the right people believe, the alt-right. And this is the stuff that people talk about in that alt-right. There is these young white boys who are being groomed to be gay. So remember how they're like coming after the Groypers? The Groypers, you look at Nick Fuentes, he is a young gay man and he is leading a group of people like that. So if you don't want that kind of grooming, you better pay attention, alt-right people. But that's what it is. Peter Thiel, allegedly. I mean, it's kind of known, but anyways, so that's what we can expect is expanded surveillance. Acceleration of extraction under energy security narratives. So what does that mean for us? Oil, cobalt, zinc, whatever it is that they need, lithium, whatever it is that they need. And so those things will just be taken from us. Inflation and resource scarcity affecting rural and reservation communities. Already happening. My brother showed me a picture at Bowie's in Pine Ridge for a thing of coffee, $20. $20 for coffee at Bowie's. Cultural and spiritual harm from normalized dehumanization. And so we have this going on, right? We have this going on. And we need to be concerned about it. Like we might even be in a place where we are being conditioned ourselves to believe as Lakota people, we are the only humans. Like, we're the superior race. That, so then we might just look at the rest of those people and say, oh yeah, that's how they are, or whatever, that's who they are, or whatever. And so we participate then in the dehumanization of others. But we want them to see us as human. So something we have to think about. What are we doing? The dehumanization of people. And then even in our own cultural ways, the corruption that is happening. Like how, and I always say this, and I have no hard feelings, mixed any prejudice or anything against Two-Spirit people. But Two-Spirit people are people in our culture. And there's a whole story to them, and there's a whole purpose for them, and all of that. And so what ends up happening is that they exploit our beliefs. Indigenous peoples of this continent, they exploit our beliefs to justify theirs. And then they corrupt our beliefs. So I don't know. I just really, I have worries about that. And even like they talk about like I'm MTV era, like rock and roll, all the different things. Like it's just crazy how we've just been misled. And even the exploitation of women in our bodies. And so that we can be sexually exploited. And this is an ongoing human thing, right? I mean, even in our culture, like why, when Ptesawi brought the Chanupa, what was going on with those two young men, So there's a reason that's in the story. We just don't ever talk about it. Do we need to talk about it? I don't know. But it's not uncommon. So when we think about all of that, like, what does that mean then? So not only for us here, is there an issue about colonization, about taking our lands, land theft, manipulation, exploitation, all of that. But also, this even just goes back to all indigenous peoples throughout the world. So indigenous people are in the forefront. We're like on the front lines everywhere in the world because we are the ones that are being attacked and then genocided. So you look in Congo, Sudan, Palestine, and the Americas. We're the ones. And then you look at like all of the connections. You look at all those white connections. And I don't mean to be like that or sound like that, but at the same time, that's what it is. Because that's who conquered the world. It wasn't like Tecumseh, said, let's go over there, let's go to the east. Let's cross that ocean and let's go over there and conquer those people. Take their land, Something like that. So exploitation comes from the middle, well, there's this idea that it comes from the Middle East, and I almost laid it blame there. But it's not from there. It comes from the thought of power. So all of this stuff, they talk about, we're heading into a religious war because they martyred Khomeini. So we're going to end into a religious war because you got Khomeini, and then you have the Christians, and then you have Judaism, and they call them the Abrahamic religions because they all descend from a man named Abraham. So I don't know, like people, I probably know too much about this stuff, but I really do like I'm very fascinated about how all of this happened. So what do we do? How do we change anything? The best thing we can do is educate ourselves, educate each other, talk about it. The other thing is it's springtime. How many of you guys noticed it is springtime? We might be in a drought. So it would be good to look at your gardens and start figuring out how you're going to change the way you garden. Are you going to install a drip system? One of the things like I'm going to do is I'm looking for this netting system or a net that's big enough to create a rolling frame over my garden. So when it's hot, I can move that net. I just watched this couple on TikTok. They did that this past summer. I was watching them. I followed them in their gardening techniques, and that's kind of what they did. They be too hot, so they would just kind of move their shade thing over their plant so it didn't burn them. So I'll probably be doing something like that. I also use hay. I learned how to use hay and learned how to cover the ground. And so then when you water, the moisture stays underneath that hay and the moisture stays with your plants. And so doing things like that, like we need to be self-sufficient, get to gardening. Even if you're just going to garden a few things, garden those things because it's going to help you. When I first started gardening, other than, like doing that with my grandma and stuff, I did tomatoes, cucumbers, and corn. And then because those are the things that I ate. And then I got a bigger garden, and then I did zucchini, squash, corn, and then I started doing like the three sister method of gardening. So Three Sisters is using the beans to put nitrogen into the ground, the squash plants to cover the ground to keep the ground moist so the corn can grow. And they all help each other. So the bean or the corn stalk helps the bean plant grow upward, and then the squash can spread out. I was tempted to try, but I may not try it this year. I was watching where they were vining upward things, vining up their plants. And so I don't know. I wanted to do that, but we're kind of in a drought. I might try it, but I don't know. Because when you let your plants climb upward, then if you have a vertical garden, then you can plant more things. But then you still have to cover the ground. So that's like my my thing. So if anything, that's what we should be doing, is making sure that we are planting. Also, that not only just harvesting our garden, but we need to be hunting, and we need to be drying our meat or preserving our meat and doing things like that. So a lot of stuff that we need to be thinking about and doing, and that. So um, what kind of phone do I have right now? I have an iPhone. And I used to have a Samsung phone because that's what was available, because remember iPhone was a specific kind of phone or whatever, like it wasn't on our AT&T network, or we didn't have AT&T. We had what was it, the competitor to Verizon, but that's what we had here, and then we went to AT&T, so then we were able to get the iPhone. And then I'm really cheap, so um my first iPhone was an iPhone 3, and then my second iPhone is this iPhone, I don't know what it is, 13 or something. But I haven't upgraded, and I don't want to upgrade. Like, I'm the last thing to do to upgrade. So a lot of things to think about, and how things are connected to us, and looking around. And so I'm on Substack, and I'm always reading and listening to different people points of view are fascinating to me. I should also be saying that Toksa Hour and the things that I talk about here are my own personal thoughts, like my own personal uh thinking, and they do not belong or represent anybody else but what I think in this world, my point of view, I guess, in this world. And so I want to thank you guys for following today, logging in. And if you haven't, please like, share if you can. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Those things kind of help the YouTube algorithm here. I know I need to do more communicating in my posts on this channel, trying to improve that, and hopefully we'll improve that. But yeah, so here we are next week. Chaz is going to join us again, so she'll be back, and we'll probably talk about all kinds of things. The plans, anyways. So you guys have a good rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next week. Doksha.